Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Today is a special meeting for the Board of Estimate and Apportionment, Tuesday, November 24th, 2 p.m. Stephanie, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Cruzen,
I'm here.
Comptroller Green,
Here.
President Reed,
Here.
all present.
Thank you. Items presented for the first time. Item number 1, 21.053. Request from the Department of Human Services for the authority to spend up to $50,000 of CARES Act funds to provide for the placement of temporary housing for homeless individuals on the property located at 900 North Jefferson, and to appropriate the first year of funding for the revised 29-month lease with 900 South 23rd LLC. This appropriation updates and replaces the item previously approved on November 18th, 2020 as item number 21.048, Exhibit A, line item 036. Item number 2, 21.054, request from the Department of Human Services for approval of listed homeless services contract amendments. So if we could, I'd like to separate items number 1 and 2 and handle them separately.
Okay. I move for adoption of item number 1.
Second.
So if I could suggest a change to that motion.
Okay.
Move to approve item number 1 of the agenda, 21053, and the revised lease as to general form to include the changes to sections 2, 16, and 23 in accordance with discussions of council, and revising sections 13 and 14 as the original language presented by the landlord in the previous draft of the lease from our last meeting. This is the lease for the property at 900 North Jefferson. It is for the tiny house. Well, let me stop there and ask for a second to that amended motion.
Could you repeat the amendment, please?
I could. I move to approve item 1 of agenda 21.053 and the revised lease as to general form to include the changes to sections 2, 16, and 23 in accordance with the discussions of council, and revising sections 13 and 14 as the original language presented by the landlord in the previous draft of the lease from our last meeting.
Second.
Okay. Okay. So whenever you get to discussion, I'll ask.
Yeah, so if I could just maybe say a couple things to start off the discussion here, is that, this is a property which is for the placement of the 50 tiny houses that we announced a week or 2 ago. And we have a site here that fits like a glove with our needs. And it really is something that we need. It's going to get cold. We were hoping to already have some of these tiny houses up and people in them. It's getting cold. The forecast for Sunday night, I think, is 28 or 9 degrees as the low. This is a turnkey site, and we're here in the middle of a COVID pandemic. The city's legal counsel has been working for about 5 days with the comptroller's outside legal counsel, Tom Ray and Mark Murray of Armstrong Teasdale, to try to come to terms internally with this lease. And it wasn't until yesterday afternoon that this lease was able to be shown to this revised lease was able to be shown to the landlord. So we're still trying to work this out, but this is actually a great location, perfectly fits our needs at a very inexpensive price. And so we're just asking to try to bring all the parties together extremely quickly in order for us to be able to set up the tiny houses. We have tiny houses that are ready to be put in place. They're outfitted, and so we really need to move forward with that. Further
So
discussion?
I have a question. The contract or lease, I understand, have two outstanding issues that the attorneys were unable to resolve because of timing. It's just a bit late, before we go into the holiday season. So we want to move forward with what we have. And so my question has to do with, Madam Mayor, are you summarizing the actual changes that were made by council, or are you adding more since council had previously sent in the lease, as you mentioned yesterday afternoon? Because I was aware of what came in and it was submitted to everyone, but are you adding more amendments from today? It's where I'm confused.
So the lease that was added to this agenda yesterday afternoon, which took about 5 days between your council and the city councilor's office, that lease had not been shared with the landlord at the time it was put on this agenda. So, it was inside baseball, comptroller's office, city councilor's office, trying to get things worked out to everyone's satisfaction here. Then we showed this to the landlord, and the landlord has a few changes that they feel are necessary to the lease that was worked out between the city councilor's office and the comptroller's office.
Got it. So to be clear, I will be signing or asked to sign a different document that appears on the agenda today.
Yes.
Okay.
So
But that
the
is
lawyers are on this call if there's anything to be added here. What we're doing today is appropriating the money and asking for a motion to approve as to the general form, because it's all inside baseball here with the city, and this is timing. I mean, it took. We first negotiated this lease with your attorney, Kelly Anderson, in your office. That was approved, but then that wasn't approved. So then we went to your outside counsel as you directed, and that took like 5 days. And so we're just at a situation where we're out of time here. And, but it's fine to have a lease that the city's willing to sign, but you also have to have a lease that the other party is willing to sign. So these are not substantial changes, as I understand it, but we need to move forward on this.
Madam Mayor, as you have suggested, there's a legal counsel on the line if they would like to have some words. I am not in disagreement, but I am in agreement to move forward as to the form that we have, generally speaking, and with the understanding that these changes will be made prior to my signature. As you explained, it's a difficult lease. It did come at a time where there was a lot to do in terms of the agreement, and some parties were unavailable, as I understand. So we are here, and it is what it is. So if council would like to speak, it'd be fine.
Madam Mayor, this is Debbie Deuster, if you would not mind.
That'd be great, Debbie, go ahead.
Madam Comptroller, I did take the time in meeting with Tom Ray over the telephone, and we developed the revised lease, which is the language that was presented here today, due to some of the items in language that had to be worked out, including over Saturday and Sunday that we were working on it. We did not get the lease to the landlord, Neil Griffin, until yesterday. I think quite generously, the landlord took the revision, understanding the city's needs to clarify some of the language, and just had a few items that the landlord needed changed to the language. Actually, I talked to Neil and I talked to Tom, and both of them were able to agree on the substance of the changes of the language to sections 2, 16, and 23 as the mayor outlined. And it is only section 13 and 14 that, quite frankly, Tom mentioned that we would just need E&A to go ahead and have the vote on restoring, if the desire to restore that language to the landlord's version. And that's why it was suggested, as I discussed between Tom and Neil, that we approve the lease in general form per the discussions of council on 2, 16, and 23, and 13 and 14 would revert to the landlord's language. And that way we can work with Tom and get that final language that he would approve as it would be reviewed by you, Madam Comptroller. But it would allow us to move forward without additional E&A meetings or taking any more time for this type of project.
Debbie, that was quite helpful, and thank you for that. I also want you to know that I thank you for working over the weekend with Tom Ray. I appreciate your time and your diligence in getting this done. So I do understand now we're talking about the two issues that are unresolved have to do with the 13 and 14 sections. And so Tom did speak with me and say that very same thing that you just added, that we would move forward and vote this out, knowing that the restoration of the previous language would be submitted for approval and for whatever you and Tom could work out on those two sections. So again, thank you for that.
Thank you, Madam Comptroller.
Thank you, Debbie, and thank you, Madam Comptroller, for stating that clearly. So is there any further discussion? If not, we have a motion and a second on the table. All in favor of the motion to approve item number 1 as revised?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Thank you all. That's very helpful.
I move for adoption of item number 2.
Second,
Second.
any discussion of item number 2? No? Thank you. All in favor of item number 2?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Item number 2 passes unanimously also. I want to just state before we adjourn that it is likely that we may have to have another meeting here in a couple of weeks. This has to do with CARES Act money. We'll work together with both of your schedules, and if it turns out we don't have to have it, well, that'll be good news. I'm just trying to give a little heads up today that it looks like we may be having another E&A meeting in a couple of weeks. So appreciate your help on that.
Thanks. I'll keep myself available for it.
Thanks.
All right. And
Okay, we'll work with everybody so it's as convenient as possible.
I move to
Absolutely.
adjourn this session of the Board of E&A.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Let me just
Aye.
say Happy Turkey Day to everyone.
Yeah. Happy
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
Happy
Thanksgiving to
Thanksgiving.
everyone.
Thank
All right,
you. We all have a
enjoy.
lot to be thankful for. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Be safe,
All
everyone.
right. Be safe.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.